Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in this video we're going to be reviewing the Modern Target Man by Vujevic for Football Manager 2023. This is one of the most overpowered tactics in Football Manager 2023. In all honesty, I've known about this tactic for a while, even before FM23 came out, and I did go on to test out the tactic with a host of other teams in England. And before we get into the tactic in detail, let's take a sneak peek as to how Forest Green went on to do with this tactic. Forget about the friendlies, there were a lot of heavy victories in the friendlies, but once the league started, we went on to beat Bristol Rovers by 5-0, an 8-1 victory over Millwall in the Carabao Cup first round. And I think Millwall are a championship team and Forest Green are not a championship team, so which is scary that you can go on to slap a championship team by 8-1 in a cup game. So that's really scary. Forest Green do go on to have good results alongside this tactic. They started to fall off towards the end of the season. Okay, this is towards the Christmas period, November or thereabout, but it just went on to pick up speed as the season continued to go, and then they went on and on and on, and up until the point where they ended up finishing in second place behind Lincoln, which were also one of the teams I went on to test out the tactic with in the division. That's in the Sky Bet League 1. I'm going to look at Huddersfield now in the championship. They had their own heavy victories in the championship, and although they didn't start so well, they did go on to have a heavy win over Reading on the final day, and I did see a 6-0 victory here. I don't know if I've actually scrolled past that. Okay, against Preston, they did go on to beat Preston by 6-0 at home. But not to worry, we'll look at everybody's stats much sooner. I'm going to go over this tactic in detail. Particularly one of my subscribers did mention to me that he was watching this, or he was playing Football Manager on iPad, so I'm going to have to go through the tactic in detail so he can go on to recreate that tactic for himself on Football Manager. And in case you're playing the game on mobile or you're playing the game on another device, you can go over this. You can go through this video step by step and then find a way to recreate the tactic on your device. So starting with the sweeper keeper on defend duty, the one instruction for the sweeper keeper on defend is to tackle harder. And when you're looking at your wing backs on attack duty, both wing backs are set to attack, and they have identical instructions in cross, aim at the center, shoot less often, stay wider, and tackle harder. Your two ball playing defenders, there's one ball playing defender and one central defender on defend duty. They do not have identical instructions. The ball playing defender on the left hand side has dribble more and tackle harder. The central defender on the right hand side has just been asked to tackle harder. In the defensive midfield position, by the way, these are DMs and not central midfielders. So defensive midfielder is the segundo volante. There are two segundo volantes and they have identical instructions: shoot less often and tackle harder. On wide left and wide right, there are two inside forwards, and oh my goodness, there are a lot of instructions for your inside forwards, by the way. The inside forward on the left and on the right do have identical instructions, and they are more direct passes, shoot less often, roam from position, sit narrower, tackle harder, and mark tighter. And then comes the main two, the main threat, the main target man, if so to speak. So the target man is the striker on the left hand side, and he has been asked to move into channels and tackle harder. Then you have an advanced forward beside him, only instructed to tackle harder. Now for the team instruction, the mentality has been left unbalanced. When you're looking at your team in possession instructions, there's a shorter passing directness and higher tempo selected for this tactic. The team has also been instructed to focus play down the left and on the right hand side while looking for the overlap on the left and on the right hand side as well. Passing to space instruction has also been checked, and then in the final third there are no instructions selected in those regions. And then for dribbling, the team has been instructed to run at defense. In transition, the team has been asked to play with the counter press and the counter instruction turned on. Goalkeeper has been instructed to distribute the ball quickly while throwing it long, so there's going to be heavy attacking even though the tactic is set to balance mentality. Occasionally, the way the tactic is designed, you can go on to start with the balance mentality, and if you feel like you need to get more goals, you can up the ante, shift the mentality to the more positive or attacking mentality. And if you're unsure of how the game is going to go, you can just leave it on balance and that will be fine. Looking you're out of possession, then you can play with a high press and a lower defensive line. That's what has been selected for this tactic. And in the other section of out of possession instructions, prevent short goalkeeper distributions, much more often trigger press has been selected and get stuck in instruction. Now a tactic as good as this, I do expect that they're going to have set piece instructions, and in case you didn't already pay attention to the goals from before, most of the goals came from set pieces, free kicks, corners. So we're going to look at the corner set piece routines. Vujevic defending corners on the right hand side. This is the way the thing is set up. You can take a screenshot, you can just go on to recreate it for your team. And on the left hand side, this is the way it's set up. Vujevic defending corners left. For attacking corners, the famous near post corner has been selected. Defender left is the player that is coming short this time, and then you have a striker at the near post, probably your target forward. As you can see, the striker center left, which is the target forward, he is the one standing at the near post. So something that, in case you didn't really pay attention, okay, I'm going to go over that much later when I'm done with the set pieces on the left and on the right. This is the way it's set up. And then probably going to peek at free kicks now to see what we have for free kicks. Defending on the left hand side, direct free kicks, this is how they are. Defending on the right hand side, oh sorry, that was the right, this is the left hand side. In attack, I don't really think direct set pieces do have much instructions like that. Left and right, this is the way they are. Small chance of a shot in attack, left, oh that's right, then this is left. And then indirect, wide, left hand side, this is the way it is. On the right hand side, you have central defenders going up front, and then indirect, deep free kicks, right hand side, left hand side. We just jump at the defending, indirect deep free kick on defend. This is the way it's set up. On the right hand side, this is the way it's set up. Really creates a block here. I've never seen this shape before. This is something really unique. That's left and right. And then indirect wide defending, this is the way it's set up on the left hand side. This is the way it's set up on the right hand side. Indirect or direct free kick, small chance of a shot, this is the way it's set up on the right hand side. This is the way it is set up on the left hand side. And then direct free kicks, straight direct free kicks, left hand side, this is the way you defend it. This is the way it's on the right hand side, defending direct free kicks. Something I need to mention that you need to keep in mind when you're playing this, or when you're playing with this tactic, is that your target forward has to be the taller of your two strikers. So if you're looking at, this is Rochdale now, so let's just peek at Rochdale's squad, for example. Looking at all their players, I'm going to filter it by position, and then you can see, start to filter by the strikers. And then we have a player, Scott Quigley. I like that name, by the way. And then Scott Quigley is probably, where is his height? 6'4". He ideally is going to be my target forward because he's 6'4". He's really tall. He's going to be the player that I want to play as my target forward. And you can see his heading 10, not very good for the lower leagues, I guess, or probably okay for the lower leagues. Jumping reach is 13, so it means he's going to tower over some players in the lower leagues. But have a player that is tall, that's the player that you want to put as your left striker, which is the target forward. So keep that in mind. You can't really play a short player here. I don't think he's going to have the same effect if you use a tall player. I'm going to show you another example, and then we'll jump to one of the teams that I also selected for this test in Fulham. The reason why I selected Fulham for this test is because they have a towering striker in Mitrovic. Alexander Mitrovic here, the Serbian in Fulham. Mitrovic is 6'2", probably not as tall as the other guy Quigley that we saw, but he has a jumping reach of 17 and a heading accuracy or heading attribute of 17. So it means he's going to win a lot more balls in the air, and he's going to have a good header on him. So playing Mitrovic as your target forward is going to be the right option for you to choose here. Oops, a lot of reds. Let me just go and clear everybody in this situation here. Clear all my players from the entire team, and then filter everybody by position again. And then Alexander Mitrovic, sorry, is going to be the one that's going to play as your target forward. So keep that in mind. So we're looking at the stats now, and we'll start off with Fulham. Fulham just narrowly missed out on the European places with 1 point. Newcastle actually edged them in there. And if you look at the season preview, Fulham are one of the newly promoted sides. So just from coming up from the championship, they're already in the European places and competing, trying to get into Europe. So that's how good the tactic worked out for Fulham in this case. Looking at the amount of goals, they did score heavily, but I'm guessing that they're going to concede just as many as they score. The recent game was against Liverpool, a 4-3 defeat at home. But looking at the competition, looking at team stats, we can see that the most goals was 94. Fulham was in there in 4th place with 66. They're 1 point of the team that was third, but Liverpool and Manchester City actually ran away with the goal department, 94-90. And then the next team was then Man United and Fulham, which were probably where everybody else were. Down to the championship, we have Huddersfield, and they currently finished in 13th place. I don't know how well Huddersfield were expected to do. Looking at the season preview, you can see Huddersfield, they were expected to finish in 15th place, and then they ended up finishing in, where is that position? 8th place, so slightly above where they were expected to finish, but not as high as I expected them to finish really. From the team stats, the goals were by Sunderland. Sunderland ended up hitting 100 goals, and then Huddersfield scored a lot more goals than Fulham. They had 82, and then Norwich and Hull City went on having 91 goals each. Going down the leagues, it gets a lot more interesting now. The two teams that we selected, Forest Green, and Lincoln. Looking at the League One division, we can expect Lincoln. Okay, Forest Green are newly promoted, and Lincoln were actually expected to finish in 13th place. But both teams went on to compete for the title up until the end of the season. Lincoln edged the trophy and ended up winning the trophy. Champions with 101 points, and then Forest Green are actually in second place with 98 points. 9 points more than the team that came in third. Looking at the team stats, Forest Green and Lincoln were actually the teams that had the highest amount of goals in this division, 97 and 96 goals respectively between them. Looking at the most points per game, Forest Green and Lincoln actually dominated. So it seems like as we're going down the leagues, it started becoming more dominant to use this 4-2-4 system. And then of course in League 2, Rochdale and Doncaster Rovers were the two teams that we tested in here, and then they both got promoted. Crew Alexander on the other hand ran away with the league, 86 points, and then to Rochdale's 81. Looking at the team stats, Crew Alexander had the most points per game, but then the most goals was shared by Doncaster Rovers and Leyton Orient. Rochdale came in third with 80 goals. So this tactic will get you goals. It will help you outscore most of the teams in your division, depending on how relative, let's say, your team is to everybody else. If your team is almost equal with everybody else, like it is in the lower leagues, you're probably going to dominate everybody. And then if you're a team like Fulham in the Premier League, where more teams are a lot better than you, you might struggle or somewhat find yourself mid-table, better than where you were supposed to finish. That's eventually sure. Now the last bit is in the Vanarama National League. Alkirchen was also one of the teams that we selected to go on for this test, and they went on to win the league. Let's just see where they were expected to finish compared to where they went on. 8th place, and then they went on to win the league. Barnet were expected to finish in 17th place, and for some reason Barnet actually went on getting promoted from the Vanarama National League. And looking at the team stats, then most goals, Alkirchen scored 120 goals, and then Barnet had 99 goals in the league. So that's heavy scoring in the lower leagues, as we can see. So that's how good the tactic worked out for these teams. I'm going to attach a link in the description so you can download this tactic for yourself and test it out. And for those of you who couldn't download, or if you can't download the FMFL for your PC, I've gone through the tactic in detail, so you can just follow the video along and then try to recreate the tactic for yourself, including the set pieces, and you should be fine. For more Football Manager tips and more Football Manager tactics like this, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when more tactic videos do come out. I'll catch you guys in more Football Manager videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.